Hi, so this is Tuulia and Pete of Honesty Europe. And I want us to answer a question we got, which is about, can you trust your body? And then more specifically, how do you know that it isn't your old trauma speaking? So Pete, what do you say as a first, like let's say start simple. Can people trust their bodies, their bodily sensations? I'm gonna clip it here.
And what about when you talk?
Let's see. Go for it.
Can people trust their bodily sensations?
Yeah, like that is really true for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, when it comes to whether it's something to do with old trauma, yeah, I guess it depends. And my understanding from being a somatic experiencing practitioner is that sometimes with our traumas we become so-called overcoupled. So meaning that sensations arise or thoughts arise where we see threat or danger when there isn't any, or may not be much of a threat or danger, due to some sort of threat or danger that we encountered in the past that we were traumatized from, and we still have not healed that trauma. So I always think, for an example of that, is when I was in the 1989 earthquake in the San Francisco Bay Area. And the building that I was in was shaking and waving, and I thought it was going to collapse. And I was with my parents, and thought my father was going to have a heart attack. And I forget how long it went on for. I think maybe 30 seconds. Yet it felt like many minutes. And there were several aftershocks for the next day or so. And each time my body would tense up, and I would think again, "Oh boy, this is going to be the one that knocks the building over," and very much felt threatened. And this continued on for days. I still felt uncomfortable in my body, still felt very scared, even though the earthquake had now obviously passed and there were no longer any aftershocks. And yet I still didn't feel comfortable being in the Bay Area. And I went to where my girlfriend was, up in Humboldt County, whatever that is, 500 kilometers north. And being there with her a couple days later, when in a shoe store where she was buying some shoes, and I heard some rumbling in the building, and I tensed up and I was nervous and said I wanted to leave. And she said, "No, it's just something's happening in the building." She asked the clerk, and he said, "No, they're moving boxes around upstairs." So even though I knew cognitively that it wasn't an earthquake, it was just moving boxes around upstairs. Each time that I feel even my shoulders coming in now, recalling that. Each time I'd heard that rumbling in the building, my body reacted as if prepare for danger, prepare for threat, that the earthquake is coming. And so while the store clerk and my girlfriend both assured me nothing's wrong, I just didn't feel comfortable, and I said, I'll buy your shoes, keep looking for your shoes, and I'll go wait for you outside. And when I was outside, feeling very relieved, now I'm not inside this enclosed space. So that's an example of when we get overcoupled, where our sensations become overwhelming for us. And then also when we experience trauma, we can also become undercoupled, where we don't recognize threat or danger in the moment where there may be some present. And in those moments, maybe we've been dissociated, cut off from our physical sensations, and don't notice when our body is telling us danger, with some tightness or heart racing or whatever, sweat. So we're not noticing when there is a danger in our midst. What was the original question
again? So that was around, can we trust our bodies? What about this? So somebody meets a new person romantically and then feels really nervous and sweaty and tight in their body around this person. So is this something of a intuition telling us, oh, you shouldn't go ahead with this person? Or is this like just normal being nervous, wanting to impress, not really knowing the person yet?
Again, it's hard to know what is the case. Is it some old trauma, or is it just what the body's naturally doing? That's not unnatural. If it's related to some past trauma. Yeah, I guess it's something to explore, and what's wonderful about trauma is that we can heal ourselves. So I can be now, after doing work on that, for example, that earthquake issue, I can be in a building that rumbles and not immediately think danger. Yet, yeah, our bodies are wonderful, wonderful instruments in alerting us to when there may be danger. Sometimes I do want to side on what my body is telling me over what my mind is telling me. I like my story of being on a train in the afternoon in Switzerland in the first class coach, a relatively empty car, bright sunny day, and so, Switzerland, safe country, daytime, safe, first class, safe, not many people around, safe. And then a guy came along in the otherwise empty carriage and sat down immediately in the seat behind me, and I noticed my belly tightening. And while cognitively I could understand, well, I'm in a safe environment, it's the middle of the day, what's he going to do? I should be safe, and yet I kept noticing this tightness in my belly, and my body was reacting like not feeling so safe at the moment with this guy sitting immediately behind me in an otherwise empty carriage. And so I could have sat there and told myself over and over again, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, and try to read my book, and yet I found myself feeling uncomfortable in my body, and so I decided, well, I'm going to move. So I got up and moved a couple rows ahead and sat back down, noticed my belly softening, and then I did relax and read my book, and didn't notice the guy again. I don't know, he was probably just going about his day and had no interest in me. So listening to our body, I do judge it to be very, very important. In this case, with a romantic partner, it's hard to say. If the person can tune in, and is there some past trauma that this relates to, then yes, they can work on that. And of course, to share with the other person in the moment. I notice that when I'm sitting with you, I'm sweaty, I'm nervous. Allow all that to be there, and allow it to express it, because sometimes when we resist all that nervousness or sweaty or shaking, then it only persists, only gets worse. And when we share aloud, then we can allow it to come and go, those sensations, that experience, so we're open to a new experience with that person.
So sounds to me like you're saying that sometimes it's good to be on the side of caution, like in those situations where there doesn't seem to be a threat around and somehow body is really tight, maybe in a new environment or something like that. Is that what I'm hearing?
And if you do have trauma and you're aware of that trauma, and you to do some work on that, so then you can be more in tune of when you truly are safe, when you truly are in danger, when there truly is a threat around. Because it's hard to live. It's exhausting for us to live when we're reacting to threat when there's no threat, or not reacting to threat when there is threat.
Right. And this case of a new romantic partner, what comes to me is that, like you said about verbalizing, yeah, I want you to like me, I want to impress you, I notice I'm feeling a bit tight, so that kind of motivation, and then notice what happens in the body after sharing all this. Then maybe the more we stay quiet and just try to impress, the more there is going on in the body.
Yeah, I imagine so, and I imagine they're also smelling that you're performing and trying to act like you're not nervous, trying to act like you're not sweating, and imagine making it harder for the other person to relate to you.
Yeah. Thanks. So this is Tuulia and Pete of Honesty Europe, and if you have a story to share around this or more questions, let us know. Ciao.
Where's where am I supposed to be looking on your camera?
You're looking at here, and we are finishing the video now. Ciao.
Bye.